Welcome back to the program. Dr. Jayatilleka, when we left off, said we'd get to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting.
Yeah.
Now, Professor G. Pires, he's gone to India to extend an official invitation to the Indian Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Now, on the face of it, it looks like a very simple exercise. But in the background, we have a lot of things happening, especially in Tamil Nadu, where DMK chief M. Karunanidhi is calling for the Indian government to boycott the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, as Canada has threatened to do. But is it realistic that India will boycott the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting?
Well, it's elections next year in April. Tamil Nadu is important, everybody knows this, and Karunanidhi and Jayatilleka are competing with each other to ratchet up the Sri Lanka issue. Now, I do believe that Delhi will take this into account. I don't believe that it will ignore the sentiments of Tamil Nadu. It's not just these two people. And there are other issues coming up, the issue of the fishermen, Kachativu and so on. But I don't think that it would be smart, really, of India to boycott Chogam. And everything India has done so far in relation to Chogam has been helpful to Sri Lanka. It would be a shift, rather dramatic shift, for India not to turn up. But it's happened before. I remember...
India is capable of making dramatic shifts. I mean, if you take the Human Rights Council resolution.
Well, Najim, that wasn't really dramatic because the Indians had told us and we weren't listening. I mean, I was one of the people who sent in the report because a very senior Indian politician, Dr. Karan Singh, who was associated with the Nehru Gandhi family. He's the son of the last Maharaja of Kashmir. He told Minister Bandula Gunawardena 6 months before the first Human Rights Council vote. He said, we are having problems with Amma Jayatilleka. You have to help us to help you. I'm a friend of your president's. He promised me that he would have the Northern Provincial Council election. You must convince him, you must remind him. I mean, this message was given to a minister of the Sri Lankan government, and I know it was also given in other places, including Geneva and New York, but nobody was listening here. So that's not perhaps the best example, but there was an example of a boycott which involved us. This was the SAARC summit when President Premadasa was taking over SAARC in the early 90s, and India stayed away. But Premadasa was smart enough, he managed to get Nawaz Sharif and everybody else. So India's absence was conspicuous, and it didn't help India at that time. Now, whether it's India or Canada, I think it's much smarter for countries not to boycott, but not to observe silence when they come. They should come over here
and raise their concerns here
and say what they have to say openly, including to the Sri Lankan people, so the Sri Lankan people can hear what's going on. I mean, this is the right way to do it. Look at what President Obama managed to do in his Cairo speech. That was probably contributory to the emancipatory movements that you saw unfold later. So one has to go over there. I mean, this is what Bill Clinton did, Barack Obama did in relation to China as well. You go in there and you speak your piece. Don't stay away, because by staying away, you in fact reinforce the isolationists in those countries, and it would reinforce isolationism in Sri Lanka if important countries of the Commonwealth stayed away at the level of their leaders. They should come over. They should come over and they should speak their piece.
Probably take the example of Navi Pillai, one of the biggest critics of Sri Lanka's human rights record, is going to be visiting. She's an impending visit to Sri Lanka. What is the significance of Madam Pillai's visit to Sri Lanka, given that you have Chogam happening, the Northern Provincial Council elections also happening, so you have all these things running parallel to each other? What issues do you think that Ms. Navi Pillai is going to raise when she comes in? Because she also has, it's been reported that she will have a high-level meeting with Secretary of Defence Gotabaya Rajapaksa as well.
Yes, she's. I hope she's also meeting the president. I believe she is. So that's probably a higher level.
A higher level meeting.
I hope done with an official. But anyway, we have to remember that this is not the first visit by UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, and I'm intimately familiar with this because I was serving in Geneva at the time. Madame Louise Arbour, who was Madame Navi Pillai's predecessor, visited Sri Lanka during the war. Now, this was the byproduct of a conversation between President Rajapaksa and Madame Louise Arbour. He visited Geneva in June 2007. The war was on, and I had just been there for a week or two, and the President's handlers weren't happy that he was going to meet
Ms. Arbour.
Louise Arbour. I mean, they didn't want him to meet her. They didn't want him to meet Amnesty International, Irene Khan. But I had arranged a program and I had spoken to him and I said, look, why don't you talk to these people? Tell them what your concerns are.
Because engagement is always better.
At the highest level. I said, you're your best advocate, not these other guys. You know why you're doing what you're doing and why you're not doing what you're not doing. And finally, you have to make the decision. So why don't you hear them out and then make your decision? And he had a meeting with Louise Arbour or vice versa. She came over and called on him, and I was there. And the President said, come on, come over, take a look, which I supported. Now, our policy at that time, and I expressed it in those words in the Council, is that we will remain engaged with the United Nations mechanisms. We are committed to. Our doors are open and our minds are open, but that does not mean that there will be what the UN called unfettered access, not in wartime, but our doors are open. So Louise Arbour came down during the war. Navi Pillai would be the second UN High Commissioner to visit Sri Lanka, but it is an absolutely crucial visit. The reason is this. Madam Pillai has been a vocal advocate of an international investigation into allegations of war crimes, crimes against humanity committed during the closing stages of the Sri Lankan war. Now, her slogan or position is predicated on another argument, and that has to be understood. Her point is that Sri Lanka, or country X, I mean it's a formula, if country X has neither the inclination nor the ability, politically, institutionally, and so on and so forth, to have a transparent, independent, national investigation, then there is the need for an international inquiry. Now, we were able in 2009 to hold that off, because during the special session in May 2009 at the UNHRC, the session commenced with an appeal made by High Commissioner Navi Pillai by video link from New York, calling on the Council to support this call, investigation, and so on, which of course we opposed, and I was in the forefront of that. But that was 2009. At that time, it was the wrong thing to say, for her to say. It was unfair. It was prejudging us. But now, in 2013,